This is sourdough discard or starter. Which one is it? If you've been confused by sourdough discard and all of the different terminology between discard and starter and what you should do with it, come hang out with me. I'm gonna explain it. And the goodness is that while I explain, I'm gonna show you how to use this, your sourdough discard, to fill your super cute bakery bread bag, which I have to say, I'm so sorry. Everybody ate it already. I couldn't even get the video, but it's pumpkin bread and you use your discard to make it. So you can use some of this. It's not gonna go to waste. And we're gonna fill this cute little bakery bread bag. And I'm gonna explain all about starter and discard and why it's confusing and what you can do with it. And what does it mean when different recipes call for different kinds of discard? What is that? Why is that? Come hang out. Let's go bake together. We're gonna have fun and I'll explain all about it while we bake. Before we dive into the recipe where you're gonna make pumpkin bread, let's talk about the discard. Let's get rid of the confusion, and I really think that the word discard is what causes all of the confusion. So here's what discard is. It's the extra fed starter that, remember when you took that little bit of starter out of the fridge, you fed some so that it would wake up so that you could make sourdough bread. But let's say you had too much. You only needed 150 grams, but you had extra. That extra fed starter or leaven is called discard. Now, if a recipe calls for discard that is fed, then they're just wanting the leftover stuff from when you made your loaf of bread. If they say it can be cold from the fridge or it can be dormant, then it means you can take it directly out of the jar that you keep in your fridge and you're gonna add it to the recipe. Now, the reason why it's so fun to use discard is it's not going to waste, and it does add this little extra tang to your recipes. I'm going to put a link to a video down in the description below that talks more about why you can combine your discard with the starter that lives in your fridge. They can go together, and it actually helps the starter in your fridge when you take that extra fed starter that you didn't use for your bread recipe, which is discard, and you add it back into the jar in the fridge. That's why, honestly, I think the word discard is so confusing because you're not throwing it away, you're not getting rid of it. It actually is the best way for you to feed the starter that lives in your fridge. So click into the description below. There's more explanation on that. But for this recipe to make this delicious pumpkin loaf. This recipe, the original one, is actually in our Red Tin Treat e-cookbook, but I adjusted it slightly because the one in the e-cookbook does not have sourdough discard in it. This recipe for this pumpkin loaf does, and the whole recipe is down in the description below. But you essentially want to start off with your pumpkin puree, eggs, sugar, get that all mixed up. You're putting some oil in there too because this is kind of a cake. It's basically a cake, but we made it in a loaf pan. And it's so delicious. You're going to want to have it with all of your coffee and all of your cozy days. Now, once you get used to baking with discard, you're going to realize that you can actually adjust so many recipes to use discard, because discard is just water and flour. And so it's a little bit of math that you're going to do with a recipe. And I already did all the math for you to adjust our original recipe down in the description. Look down there. But get all of these ingredients mixed up. Get your spices in there into your batter. Get those all mixed up too. I love to make sure that those are incorporated really well before I add the discard. Then put your bowl back on your scale. I think it's really important to use the scale when you're adding discard to a recipe because 145 grams of discard that is fed and happy will fill a cup container differently than 145 grams of discard coming straight from your fridge because it's going to have deflated. It's still the same amount. It's just fluffier or not as fluffy. So use your scale when you add your discard. It's why most discard recipes will call for like grams, not just half a cup or a cup. So for this recipe, we're using 145 grams. And here's one of the things things that I love about this recipe is it actually makes enough batter to fill 2 large loaf pans, which means you can make a loaf for you and a loaf for a friend, which isn't that just the best thing when you're going to be baking anyways? I always love to have extra that we could give away, or, we have still a big family that lives in our house and there's lots of people coming and going, and I love having enough to share with everyone. So once you've mixed that discard into the batter, get it mixed in there so that it doesn't clump up together. Then add your flour in. We're going to whisk this up, and Parker popped into the kitchen, and those are Parker's hands. I love when he comes into the kitchen. He'll be up doing his schoolwork, and then he'll pop in and be like, ooh, what you making? So I always love when the kids want to come and be part of whatever we're baking. So it takes a little bit with a hand whisk to get that flour really mixed in there. So I'll take over. Let's get this stuff whisked up. Prep your loaf pans so that they're oiled really well. You don't want your batter to stick to it. Fill your pans evenly, and then you're going to bake these at 350 degrees for 50 to 60 minutes. Sometimes, I think it just depends on how liquidy the pumpkin puree is and how fluffy your sourdough discard is. Sometimes they take a bit longer. Just, use the knife trick, stick it down through the middle of your loaf, and make sure that they are cooked all the way through before you take them out of the oven. And here is the goodness of what they look like. Now, in the Red Tin Treat e-cookbook, there's also a recipe for crumble topping. And if you want to go above and beyond and make this into the most decadent of breads, it's a cake, you can add a crumble topping on top as well. So good. And here's the best part about it making 2 loaves is you can slice one up and enjoy it right now. I love to slice them when it's still warm. And this is our absolute favorite bread knife. We're going to put a link to that down in the description below as well. There's links below to all of our sourdough and baking tools that we love to use. But just look at how soft and fluffy it is. Oh, I think I need to make more right now because everybody already ate all of it. But this is the goodness of it making 2 loaves, is we sliced this one up so we could have some now. The second loaf, I'm going to wrap in parchment and I'm going to tuck it into our bread bag, and we're going to share it with friends later. If you haven't delved into the goodness of the bread bag, I'm going to put the link to that down below too, because we have a whole tutorial video how you can make this bread bag. And I'm going to be honest, I'm not a seamstress, but my mother-in-law is, and she did the most beautiful step-by-step tutorial along with me, showing me how to make the bread bags, and I know you can make it too. If you love this recipe, I know you're gonna love the recipes in our Red Tin Treat e-cookbook. They're not sourdough, but they are full of all of the goodness that our family loves to bake all through the fall and the holidays. Honestly, I make a lot of these recipes all throughout the year, but these treats in particular, they get highlighted at the holidays. So much good fudge and butter toffee. The link to the Red Tin Treat e-cookbook is in the description below as well. And here's just a reminder of the goodness that you can go and deliver to your friends or open up when a friend stops by to have coffee with you. We're so glad that we get to bake together and welcome you into our kitchen. I look forward to more baking to come and so much more sourdough goodness as you use up your own discard.